TEDx, the most nerve-wracking experience ever. You question yourself at this time thinking, is this idea even worth it? You know, who am I to do a TEDx speaker? You know, who am I to do this? And Judd said, I hate magic. I was like, oh dear.
So that leads nicely into the TEDx talk. So why did you want to do one first off? Why did that suddenly appeal to you?
I always wanted to do one, like, because I was a massive fan of like Tony Robbins growing up, Jim Rohn, a lot of the inspirational speakers like Jack Canfield, that kind of thing. And I just thought it'd be a really cool thing. And I did want to do one about 5 years ago. Or no, probably about 7 years ago. But I think I wanted to do one at the time just to say I've done one. And it was more probably of an ego trip. And I remember a mentor of mine, and I said to him, I want to do a TEDx. And he went, just remember, Ricky, it'll be out there forever. And I thought, oh, that's him telling me not a good idea. And I went, okay, we won't do that. But I always wanted to do it just because it's a credible thing. For anyone who doesn't know, you don't get paid to do TEDx. It's all voluntary, but the assets that you get from it, the credibility, the position that you get from it is such a powerful thing. And when lockdown came around, and I thought, well, I've got this weird idea. There's this weird thing called magical resilience, like we trust the process. If something goes wrong, something extraordinary is going to happen. Could we connect that to life? And my good friend, he's now my business partner, Steve McDermott, he said, I love that idea. I think you should do it. And I went, really? He went, yeah. And then someone else, Glenn McCoy, who was part of the journey, he said, that's a cracking idea, you should do it. And I went, really? And I just thought, well, let's just give it a go. So it was always something I wanted to do. I think there's just something really iconic about that picture, you know, the famous TED letters. But ironically, not a lot of people know about it. So I go up to people and say, do you know like TED or TEDx? They're like, no, what's that? So it's one of these things that some people know about and some people don't. But it's been running, I think, now for about 30 years. And there is a difference, I should say, by the way. You got TEDx and TED Talks. TED Talks, you've got to have like solved like world peace or something like that. So maybe next year, who knows? But TEDx is a voluntary thing. So it's like a part of the company, but anybody could do it. They've had one in Peterborough before, and they do it all over the world. So anybody can apply for it and do it.
But you still got to maintain a definite quality. Yeah. If you've not experienced them, if you put into YouTube TEDx and a subject, there will probably be a TEDx talk about almost any subject you can think of. Someone will have done one. And they're very quality controlled. So one of the things I'm intrigued is that process from you deciding to do one, what happened then?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer about like vision and sharing things to the world. And my mentor now and my trainer, I'm one of his trainers, Jack Canfield. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen the film The Secret or heard of Law of Attraction. He's in that movie. He's now retired. But he taught me so many things. And his mentor, W. Clement Stone, had this wonderful thing, like if you tell enough people about what it is that you want, people will help you out. So here's a little idea for you all. I'd like you just for like 20 seconds, just think of something that you really want to do, whether it is you want to be a TEDx speaker, you want to write a book, you want to earn £1 million this year, you want to go to Hawaii, whatever it is. Just think for 20 seconds of that thing. And Paul, you can do it as well, and Tony as well if you want to, okay? Now I'm going to ask you in this room, as a show of hands, who would be happy to share that out loud? 1, 2, 3. Cool. You can put your hands down. I'm not going to ask you because I'm more interested about why no one else did. So it might well be that somebody might be going, oh, I don't feel confident enough to, or maybe it's too ambitious. I don't want to sound greedy. I don't want to do that thing, right? So I'm not going to do that. But what happens is when you tell enough people, they're going to help you. So what I want you to do right now, just for 20 seconds, is whatever you were thinking about, turn to the person next to you and tell them what it is that you want. So it might be that I want to write a best-selling book, or I want to do a TEDx. Tell them, and then the other person, tell them what it was that you were thinking as well. You go do that now. Whatever it might be.
It's a British thing as well, isn't it? Not it totally changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Louder. Okay. As a show of hands, who now feels different about their vision now that you've spoken to somebody? As a show of hands, who feels a little bit differently now? What do you now feel, this lady here? There you go, right? These stories that we tell ourselves that, I don't know if I can share this thing, I might feel greedy, I don't know. This is one of the things that I had to do. I had to tell people that I want to be a TEDx speaker. And the more people I told, they said, I actually know like one of the TEDx curators. And I was in LA at this big conference speaking, and I was sitting on this table with this lady called Nikki Kinsella. I said, look, I want to be a TEDx speaker. And she went, so do I. And she went, I've just applied for TEDx Northwich. Do you know about Northwich? I went, no. And she went, well, why don't you come apply? And we applied, and we actually ended up being on the same stage together. And it's great talk if you ever want to see it. She dressed as a squirrel for the whole 8 minutes, which is brilliant. But what I learned was the more people that you start talking to, the things start happening. So on that same note, on the last day of this convention, I was in LA. I'm in the lobby, and I'm just about to leave. And as I'm about to leave, there was this kind of gut feeling that told me, you've got to stick around in the room. And as I stuck around in the room, this weird thing just said, you just stick around. And this guy came up to me called Dr. Robert Kelly, and he said, Ricky, are you going back to LAX? Would you like to share an Uber? I was like, yeah, of course. And we got in the cab. I was just trusting this man, hopefully he wasn't going to kill me or something like that. And he said, we've not had a chance to meet at this convention. What do you do? And I said, I do this sort of thing and this kind of thing. I said, what do you do? And he said, I'm a cardiologist from Ireland, and I've just done my very first TEDx. And I went, no way, I want to do a TEDx, tell me everything. So for the first half hour, he was telling me all about that, and I was like, this is amazing. And then he said to me, I really enjoyed it, Ricky, but I really got really nervous. I think I could do with some presentation skills training. And I went, no way, I'm a confidence coach, I teach presentation skills. So it was just this weird thing, but if I hadn't had that conversation, then it wouldn't have led to obviously this happening. And that was just one of the things about showing the vision. So the lesson is for everyone, if you have something you want to do or learn, tell people about it, and you'll be surprised that there'll be someone that can help you out. Oliver, you got your hand up, or are you just stretching?
I've got my hand up.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Ricky. I was hoping Paul would spot me.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word, you felt something in your gut. Do you believe very strongly in that feeling?
I do, yeah. I believe that it's a sign. My mentor used to say something, I can't remember exactly what he used to say, but it's like, if you want to call it the universe or something, it's there for a reason. It's like a second brain. So I believe that if you get those feelings, it's a sign to do something about it. Yeah, so I would absolutely trust your gut. Yeah.
Rick has mentioned The Secret, which is a film. I listened to it as an audiobook about 8-10 years ago, and it sounds a bit mumbo jumbo, but it's this frequency. So if you're thinking about something, it goes out on a frequency and it attracts the same frequency back, which is kind of this point, and I've done it so many times. Since I kind of studied it, I've done it so many times, and things have just happened. So I mentioned earlier, I broke my leg last January, so we're like 14 months on from it now. I did a vision board at the time, created all these images of what I wanted to happen, and I raced Lambrettas, which is an odd thing to do, but on my vision board was this return to racing scooters, racing Lambrettas. Obviously, my wife was not quite for that, given that I've broken both the bones in my leg. But I did it in the gym, sort of 6 months later. And I also put on the vision board a picture. I drew a little picture, a stick-in set picture of me at a stage with a speaker and a big screen. And last month we had a big screen at Ignite, and I introduced 5 national conference quality speakers on a stage. And yeah, it was in my head, but actually this thing of telling somebody, drawing it, it becomes conscious, it goes out, but trust me, it does come back. So what's been your experience from a confidence coach, and when you talk about it with other people, other people's experience? Do they get it? Do they fight it?
What about the
vision board? Yeah.
So I look at it as a science thing, because in England, if you mention like the law of attraction, people go, ooh, woo-woo stuff and all this. But as a science point of view, there's some real stuff in this. So there's a thing what they call structural tension. So for everyone right now, if I was to say to you, you're not thinking about your right toe right now. Oh, now you are, because you're now thinking about it. Now that feeling was there before, but it was just in your subconscious. You weren't thinking about it at all. But now I'm telling you about it, you're focusing on it. So what that tells us is there's lots of things going on all the time, and your conscious brain can only hold 7 minus or plus 2 bits of information at any point. So actually, if you start thinking about something, your brain creates this thing called structural tension, and it starts opening up the filters to start looking for things. So if I was like right now to say, I'm in Hawaii, I'm going to visualize in my mind and go, oh, I'm on that one beach. My brain's going, no, you're not stupid, you're in Rutland, hey. But actually, if I keep doing it over and over, my brain's going to go, God, he's not giving up on this, is he? Let's probably help him. And then that's when it starts opening things up. That's what led to that gut feeling of meeting Robert, because I was in the lobby, and then my brain said, just wait. And I'd drawn the picture. You can have a look at it later on if you like. This was one of my vision boards. I photoshopped a picture of me on stage from another gig in front of the bright TED letters. And I thought, oh, let's give that a go. And then because I was doing it every day, just playing the movie in my mind, this is what people do. I'm a co-director of the Confident Club, and my business partner is Leon Taylor. He's an Olympic diver. He's Tom Daley's mentor. And I said this thing to him, like, how do you practice your diving, which is like 1.6 seconds? He invented the world's most difficult dive, got the silver medal, one of the most successful British divers. How do you practice that? 40,000 people in like a big diving room. And he went, well, I can't get like 40,000 people to my local swimming pool in Sheffield, so I have to close my eyes and play the movie in my mind. And then as you do that, it creates that structural tension, it starts opening up the filters, you do the RAS thing, so your reticular activating system happens, that feeling like when you buy a new car and then you suddenly see it everywhere, but it also dials up your creativity and motivation. So when you're in the shower and you're like, oh God, that'd be a good idea for my TED Talk, I might ask that guy, he can help me out. So it's a weird thing. And in England, people are like, oh, we don't talk about that. We don't like being motivated in England. But there is some real science to it, and you get what you focus on. And just to highlight a point, we shared this before, like Muhammad Ali, he didn't say, one day I'll be quite good. He said, I am the greatest. He kept telling himself every day, and then that's what kind of led to him being one of the greatest. Yeah.
On the vision, we did actually put onto the slides some of your drawings, didn't we?
So this one here, this was a drawing from 2020 when I was crying. I think there's some tears stained on there, I think, at some point. But I was crying my eyes out, and this was my little sketch that I thought, I want to be a TEDx speaker. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I do have bad writing. I'm quite good at magic and speaking, but I'm not good at writing. But it was to inspire and encourage others to learn from experience and to and life to them. See, I can't write properly. But let them take action to live fulfilling life of success and happiness. And the weirdest thing was that on the day when we had our photo taken, because I was playing this movie, I literally every single day in the lead up of applying for TED, I'd close my eyes in the morning and do it at night time. I'd play that movie in my mind of what it's going to feel like walking out onto that red famous dot, people clapping, I do my talk and I walk off. I do that every single day. And the weirdest thing is this, that on the day, the photographer that took a picture, if you show the next one, that was the picture, which is kind of spooky. I mean, I've got one arm like this and one arm down like a teapot. However, if you look at the lights and the red dot, it's almost identical. And if you go to the next slide as well, this was the picture that I took from Google, which you can find on Google. And I used to put that's on that vision board over there. And then on the day, if you show the next one, Paul, that was the picture. Now, the weirdest thing was that X on the right, for the last 3 or 4 years at Northwich, it's forever been on the ground. And they just said weirdly, like 10 minutes before we're about to do our thing, we're going to raise it up this year. And I went, oh, do. And then it was a match of the two things. But this stuff doesn't just work just for this, because the next slide, this was me, weirdly. I photoshopped this picture. This was me speaking at another event, and I did this weird thing with the 4 fingers. I don't know why I was doing it at that gig, but it just goes to show that that's what happened when I did it in the real time. I've got no idea why, I was out of my head, but just this weird thing happened. And this stuff happens because when you play a movie in your mind, you create a vision, it creates a structural tension, and this stuff works. It's so bizarre.
So basically this vision was created, but then how? You know, what steps did you actually take to make it? What was the process?
So the process for a TEDx is that anybody can apply for it. You just go online, you can apply, go onto TED.com, and you can do that kind of thing. And the process works in a way where you have to submit an idea, and then you have to film a little video, like a 3 or 4 minute version of it. And then they'll give you some feedback, and then they'll invite you, if they like it, to an in-person kind of Dragon's Den style event. 5 TEDx curators all sitting there grumpy like this, and you have to do a 2-minute pitch, which is quite scary. But I had to do the principle, which was about taking action. So the biggest thing for me, which is for everybody here to think about if you have like a goal you want to do, is that you have to act on it. And what I had to do was I had to like make sure that I could do this. So the first thing I did was I got the idea, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I filmed this really elaborate thing. So if anybody follows me, you might see I do a load of social media posts, and they're quite polished and they're quite good detail. And my friend said, Ricky, that's it's too good. They're not looking for that. They are looking for just, do your thing. And I asked my friend Nick, I said, Nick, are you doing your application? She said, yeah. And I said, would you show me a video? And she went, yeah. And she's sitting there on Zoom like this with a piece of paper going, so hi TEDx team, this is my idea. And I went, oh, okay, I've gone the opposite way. So I took the action. I thought, right, I'll get some feedback. Then I asked my friend Glenn McCoy, who came on my podcast. He's a BBC and Emmerdale screenwriter. And I said, you're pretty good for words. My writing's terrible. Do you think you could help me out? And he took my application, then beefed it up a little bit, put some good stuff in it. We sent the application off, sent the video, and then they sent an email and said, could you come to Northwich, which is about 3 hours away from here, in 1 week's time and deliver a 5-minute little thing for us, a 2-minute pitch, and we're going to ask you some questions. I was like, okay. So I was driving there going, this is, what's going to happen? And as I got there, we did the pitch and they said, thank you, goodbye. And then I went home. And then that was like the moment going, is this going to happen? Is this going to work? And then thankfully they said, we love the idea. We've never heard of anything like this. Let's go for it, yeah. And then that was part of the next stage, I guess, yeah.
Do many people get rejected when they've gone to that stage?
Yeah, so I think they had about 40 applications, and at the end they got it down to 10. But everyone had to go deliver the idea. Some people had to deliver it on Zoom, so they couldn't make it in person. And it's the most nerve-wracking experience ever, because you question yourself at this time thinking, is this idea even worth it? Who am I to do a TEDx speaker? Who am I to do this? But when I felt fairly convinced, because there was one guy in particular, I think his name was Roy, and he was like, I love this idea. I think this is bloody brilliant. And then the other judges nodded, but one judge said, I hate magic. I was like, oh dear, But she's become a really lovely person, so it's been really great, and she's been a good friend of mine. But yeah.
So we mentioned this idea and they loved it. What was this idea for the people that don't know? What was it?
Yeah, so the idea is called Magical Resilience, as we said earlier on. And I was like, look, I think there's some weird connection here about, could we not trust, that extraordinary things are going to happen when life makes things disappear? Perhaps we can just trust the detour, stay curious, and expect that magic's going to happen. You'll see from my talk, if you watch it, I've brought a miniature version because I've had to put it back on the A15 now. But I had a big road close sign that I use, and it was a massive road close. I thought, well, I'm going to talk about my life, how I lost everything, put all of my chips into a dream to just let it disappear. And that was the worst thing ever. But actually, when I come to the point of going, well, I'm going to treat this like a magic trick, I'm going to lean into it. And because I leant into it, all the things started to unfold that led me to meeting people like yourself, my mentors, and that led me to now being a confidence coach. So we do presentation skills workshops for Coca-Cola and Audible. So we travel the world. We're going to Madrid in a couple of weeks' time, and then New York. And that all led just because I was like, well, actually, if this idea works, then maybe everybody could lean into it. If something's a setback, it's not the end of the world. Maybe it's the seed to some extraordinary.
So the initial idea is this short sample you've got to present.
Yeah.
So how long is the actual TED Talk? So I think it's very, very precise, isn't it?
18 minutes. 18 minutes. So some people might go, that's too much, that's good. For me, that's not enough because I love talking. And we had to boil it down into that 18-minute pitch. But this year they said for some people they want to do it as an 8-minute or a 10-minute thing. Because I can't remember exactly the science now, but attention span, I think it's like 3 seconds now because of social media. So they wanted to do it from that. Yeah, got it. Like a fish. So it was 18 minutes, and what we had to do was a bit of a grueling process, so you had to script it. Now, we teach in the presentation mastery workshop, like Jedis, like good communicators, don't use scripts, because what happens is most people just are like debunking themselves because they're so thinking about what is it I'm supposed to say rather than enjoying the moment. So we say have a structure and then be prepared to go off on a few bits of jazz. So for me, I had to go like opposite, and I had to write a script out and send it to them, then deliver it. So trying to remember a script is pretty difficult. And every month we had to turn up on Zoom or travel all the way to Northwich, which was like 3 or 4 hour drive, deliver it and go home, get feedback and just repeat that. So for a lot of my team who was doing it, it's a grueling process, and you question yourself all the time thinking, is this going to work? And by 7 months in, nobody was laughing anymore at my gags. So in the lead up to it, I'm thinking, I don't know if this is going to work, because they've heard it all. And even the magic trick, they were just sitting there like that. A lot like my audiences usually, however. And I just thought, what else is going to go on? But on the day, big thing when we got to the theatre. We had a 3-day experience in the theatre where we had to do like a dress rehearsal, tech rehearsal, and then deliver it. And I kind of got some nice like clapping and applause from some of the sound guys, and I thought maybe this would work. And my worst feeling was on the day when we did the talk. I thought, because the first thing I opened up is this massive road closed sign, if this doesn't get something, this is going to be painful, because I've mapped it out to be about 15 minutes. But as soon as I did that and I got the laugh, I knew I've got the audience, and thankfully the magic trick didn't go wrong either, which I was very petrified about. So
I'm intrigued with like how many iterations from the first one to actually the final one did you practice, did you go through? How much did it change from the start to actual delivery?
I think I probably changed it about 25 times. Yeah, so the script changed massively. You're not allowed to use AI. So, well, you can, I guess, but the script had to feel really authentic. So I kept asking my friend Glenn, does this sound right? Does that make sense? Because I just like do full stops everywhere, that kind of thing. And that changed massively because when we were rehearsing it in a bar, not in the big theatre, to the other TEDx people. So they're all thinking about when Ricky's finished, I've got to go do mine. So no one's really kind of enjoying the moment because they're so worried about their own thing. So there was just this real moment of like, I don't know if this is going to land or not. My wife had enough of it, She said, bloody hell, when are you going to get this done? And we'd done it in the garden and all that, and I filmed it and all that. But thankfully, it was a good lesson to go that you got to believe in yourself because
from the whole process. If you had to pick one thing that you've learned about yourself through it, what would that be?
Can I give two?
You can give two. Yeah.
So one is taking action, because if I hadn't have taken action to go ask for people, or even just be brave enough to go, does this idea work? Then I wouldn't be sitting here now or even doing it. The second thing is ask. There's so many people that was part of that journey. So this box is the box that I used in the TED Talk. That box is like the 5th version of that box. Because I had this crazy idea. I bought this really cheap box and I tried to make a hole in the top and I just sliced the whole box in half, but I had to present that. And so my friend Chris Wilder, who's a magician, I said, Chris, you're really good at making stuff. Could you make this for me? This is what I'm thinking. Can't tell you too much because, magic circle rules, not to tell you, but there's something with that box that allows for the trick to happen in the talk. And that came because I asked. Glenn McCoy, I asked him to help me out. Steve McDermott, my friend and business partner, I said, could you watch this? Paul McGee, he's become a really good pal of mine. He came as well. And I just literally asked everybody. But the biggest thing was the taking action piece. Yeah, massively.
I mean, we all need to take action in our business, sales and marketing, but just that process of asking, so many people fall shy of being able to ask that question. Did it change you at all? Have you changed any aspect of what Ricky does from before TED to now?
Well, now I can be that person, go, I'm a TEDx speaker, and they go, what was that? I don't know. That was a really, really proud moment. So I don't know, maybe, well, Steph knows me quite well. Steph, do you think I've changed much?
I feel like you're just blossoming at the minute.
Oh, there you go. I paid Steph to say that, so yeah. I think it's made me more confident feeling of like going for the things you want. So if anybody wants to see it, I'll show you. On the vision board, all these things that I've done, there's about 70% of that all happened because of it. So it's just made me think that there is no rules as such, what if you want to call it the matrix or whatever, but things are possible. But sometimes our limiting beliefs, childhood, I was told that I was going to work in gateways for the rest of my life. That's not true. I just now know that it was conditioning being brought up. So it has made me look at the world with, this is quite an interesting world. So yeah.
I know we had, I'm going back about 2 years, we had Tony Brooks, who's an author and a TEDx speaker who spoke at one of the early RBNs too. And, so I'm fortunate I know 2 people there that have both spoken at this event that have done TED Talks. And both of those are very high quality people. Just ask a question of the audience. Who has watched a TED Talk and actually would quite like to do one? Who? Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Mandy, you must. No. Okay, so we've gone through the process. So I think we're nearing the end of our time. But Has anybody got any questions for Ricky on the process? Yeah.
Well, actually, another question was just to back up what you said about visualizing
Yeah.
and making that happen. There is an interesting study. Your brain will never tell the difference between your dream
Yeah.
and something that happened in the past. If the dream is intensive enough,
Yeah.
it will sound the same.
Mhm.
Just another
Yeah, so great point. Is there a question with that as well, or?
No.
Okay.
not just-
Cool. Yeah, so I totally agree. So the brain can't tell the difference between something that's vividly imagined and something that's real. That's why sometimes you wake up with a cold sweat going, oh my God, did I just walk around town naked? No, I didn't, that was fine. But you can use that ability. So there's an exercise that I do in my workshops that I run, which is called Magical Resilience, along the same thing. And I get people to stand up and close their eyes. I say, imagine you're on top of a skyscraper right now, world's biggest skyscraper, and imagine there's no safety barrier. You can feel the wind, walk out to the edge, put your toes on the edge, and I get people physically shaking like that. I say, how you feeling? They go, I'm sweating, I'm nervous. And I go, why? You're in Sheffield, what's going on? And the reason being is because they constructed that move in their head of fear and panic. Now, we talk about this like fear, F-E-A-R. Now, we're all friends in this room. Would you like me to tell you the polite version of what fear means or the rude version?
Rude.
I'll give you both. Okay. So F-E-A-R stands for fantasized exaggerations appearing real. A bit like standing on the skyscraper, right? Or as we like to say, fuck everything and run, which is what most people probably feel. So if you can put a movie in your mind of fear and doubt, you can do the opposite and play a movie of success, which is what I did. I'm going to play this movie of me walking out, and I kid you not, it was like pressing play on a DVD. Everything that happened on that day was exactly as I planned it to be. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like even the four fingers thing and the shot like that kind of thing. So yeah, thank you.
I think you've probably just answered my question, because what I was going to say to you is, how did you overcome that fear to jump? I get the gut,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm very much into the secret and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So I do believe in that, but I
yeah.
believe in that gut feeling, but it's that fear of the unknown. So how did you
Yeah.
actually overcome that?
Good question. So I think that building confidence or self-esteem is that there's this thing I teach called the poker chip theory. If me and Paul were to play poker right now, Paul has maybe 500 chips and I have 5, and it's 5 chips per game. Who's going to take more risks? Is it Paul or is it me? Paul's going to, because he can afford to lose 5. If I play 5 and I'm lost, I'm out of the game forever. But I could put 5 down and I could win another 100 or 200. So self-esteem and confidence is just survival of a risk. So all I did, everything I've ever done is I've taken a risk. I've never done this before. That was just a risk tonight. I won't do it again because it didn't work. But it's just an idea. So you've got to be comfortable to know that there's this belief called no failure, only feedback. Everything you ever do is just an opportunity. There's no such thing as failure. It's just words that you put in your brain. So to answer your question, I do care because I'm a nice person, but I don't care if something goes wrong, because I go, that's a good opportunity. I can learn from that. And that's just what built up over time, and I've just collected more chips over time, if that makes sense.
If I could add to that as well, it's something I learned from The Secret. My wife is quite negative. So as I mentioned earlier, I broke my leg. She didn't want me to go racing again because I was clearly going to break it really badly again. And she will think, oh, I hope he doesn't break his leg. Oh, I hope he doesn't hurt himself again. All I do, I visualise to overcome the fear. Visualise what you do want to happen and start to picture what you want to happen rather than focusing on what you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
And then when you focus and visualise the success, it does help you to overcome the fear.
Yeah.
You picture, so in this instance, it was an 8-hour endurance race and we finished on the podium. You know, we finished in second place. And that was my first time back from breaking a leg. And I didn't know if I'd be able to ride the bike even. But I pictured finishing the race. And we actually finished it with a medal, with a trophy. So if you picture what you do want to happen, it helps you overcome the fear.
Sorry, just one second.
Yeah.
I wanted to say about Martin Luther King. I love his famous speech. I don't know if anybody ever heard of it. I have a complaint.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say that, did he? He said, I have a dream. So he told more people about it and he galvanized people and did it. So that focusing what you want, you've got to focus in the right way. But I do want to demonstrate one before this man does his question. that answers your question as well, and probably what some people might be thinking in this room about the power of taking action. I just take action all the time, and I don't care if it doesn't go well, because I'll learn from it. Like, I've stood on stage with Nelson Mandela's bodyguard, did a talk, and it was a complete car crash. I didn't go home and cry. Well, I did for about 5 minutes, but then after I went, what would I do differently? So it's about taking action. So here's an idea. There is this. Some people may have seen me before. This is a £15 Amazon voucher as a little gift, because I've just got to level 37 in my life. Yay! I'm halfway to 74. As a little birthday treat, I'd like to give this to somebody in this room who would like it. It's £15 Amazon voucher, real voucher, no magic trick. A couple of people. You would like it? Yeah?
Thank you.
There you go. She's probably seen me before, probably, yeah. She took action. And the reason was, some people put their hands up. The people who didn't come up here and get it, you probably had a story in your mind, which was, I don't know if he's going to give it to me. I don't want to look like an idiot, or this is a bit nerve-wracking. But that's just a story we tell ourselves in this room. So if we're telling ourselves that story here, what are we telling ourselves when we walk out the room? It could well be that she would have come up and went, nah, joking, not really going to give it to you. And she would have gone, oh, I look embarrassed now. But she could take the action and actually get it. So you've just got to take the action. There's a principle I love, which is called ready, fire, aim. Do not wait until things are ready. Ready, fire, aim. People do ready, aim, fire. Oh, I'll wait until it's perfect, then I'll go for it. No. Ready, fire, and then you aim after. So, last thing before this man, this is another thing here, which I'm very proud of. This is, as Tony said, I'm an #1 international best-selling author. I'm very proud of this. This is a signed copy of this book, and this is the 4th copy in the UK. There's not a copy like this ever again, and who knows, maybe one day I might be famous. Who knows? So who would like this book? It's a signed copy. There we go, yes, good.
Like a jack in a box.
Yeah, there you go. Well done.
Now, what you were saying about fears,
Yeah.
I've got a form to fill in for my OBE.
Oh, right.
But the form's okay, but it's the thought of going up to London, staying in a hotel, messing up getting there in time, and all that lot. So.
But it could be that you go and it's bloody brilliant.
And I need to do it.
You do.
Yeah.
Good. Well done. Well done. I don't know what I did there.
Thanks ever so much, guys. That was absolutely fantastic.